Good afternoon. Um, I guess this will be some starting info for those curious about the vampire side, and I'll probably set up a playlist separate from all my witch stuff and all that stuff. Um, so I figured I would start with some funny misconceptions. We do not go around biting people on the neck unless you ask. We cannot bite you and turn you into a vampire, even if you ask. If you cut anything's head off, it's gonna die, as far as my knowledge goes. If you stab something or someone in the chest cavity into or near the heart, it's probably gonna die. Just saying, like that would kill anything just about. Unless you're a modern marvel and survive such a situation, which it happens, but just in the vampire realm of things, if you go and take a stake to somebody, be prepared to have a murder charge on your hands. Let's see. The sunlight thing's kind of interesting because there are several, witches included, that avidly avoid sunlight. It's not just a vampire thing, that's just a human thing. It's hot. But there are some very UV sensitive people out there that also identify as a vampire. There are very UV sensitive people out there that identify as a witch. So, just depends on you as a human, really, and your personal preference. What else? Not all goth people are vampires or witches. That might astound some people. Not all flower-wearing, hippie, patchouli people are not vampires. I know a few. I know two that identify that are very much the opposite of what you would expect. Let's see. We are not maliciously minded people. We're not out to destroy people in general. A lot of us typically enjoy people in general. There are assholes in every group. I will go ahead and attest to that on both fronts. There are jerks in every faction of life imaginable. In every group, there's going to be a jerk or a group of jerks. There's no way around that. You've seen that play out in the witch community, plays out just like that in the vampire community. Where there are groups of people, there will be drama. So that is another thing. Like it's just a thing because we are human by nature. So that being said, you would not believe what people ask people. I mean, even as a witch, you get asked some ridiculous ass questions. Like, if you're goth, you get asked stupid questions. Like, there's just... And I would love to say it was pure ignorance, but sometimes it's just gaslighting somebody to, get a rise out of them. But let's go back to, all right, we've myth busted a few things. You cannot be turned into a vampire. You can identify as such, and that would take you on your own little path, but you can't, if someone brings you the information and you identify as whatever, then that is where your mind opening begins and your life shift starts. So it's very different for everyone. Most people, the most common thing is around puberty. So even in, like, with witches, around puberty, your awakening happens where you start diving into the darker depths of things. You see that there's another side to life. You're feeling off-put if you were raised, like, religiously. Now, that's not saying vampires can't go to church. That's another myth. They do not combust into flames, just like witches don't combust into flames. when they step foot into a church. They're normally, like, I know a few witches and a few vampires that both attend church regularly. That is their preference. That's never going to change. One does not really correlate with the other. Everything is a life choice. So, that just nothing changes. So I'm getting together some information on not only vampire information and literature, but literature about the Fae. Because me personally, I don't know, and I feel like I just totally jumped subjects, but whatever. I have a list. I'm just not following it completely. I feel like I don't know enough about the Fae. I've put some feelers out for people to get back to me on certain literatures. That way I can field them to you and have them available. Because I want to know more. One, I don't know a lot about the Fae. I really don't. I know a little, and most of it's probably not accurate, so I would like to be more aware and more knowledgeable of the subject matter, one, and people involved. So that's another thing. Another question I've been asked is, what types of vampires are there? There's a few. And then I'll get to a show that kind of represented one very accurate, like to me, as accurately as a show could depict, to be a fictional show. There are sanguinarian, which are blood feeders. We'll get to that. Calm down. It's not scary. There are energy feeders, psychic feeders, emotional feeders, and sexual feeders. We'll get into all these categories later. Like I said, I'm going to do a playlist. It's just too much for this video will go on forever. So those are the main types that I'm aware of. There could be others that I'm not aware of, but those are the main ones that I know of, right? So the next question I also get is the combination of witch and vampire. Well, there's not a lot of difference. Nothing. So this is new information for you guys on me, but it is not totally new to me as a human. So, or me as a person. Whatever you want to call it. That understanding was present at the same time the witch part came about. And you are not made either. You're born this way. Just like if someone identified with the wolf, you're born that way. You can't get scratched and be turned. You know what I mean? Like, it's there or it's not. Whether it presents early in life or later in life is totally dependent on the person and their life. The situations they've gone through, things that have muted certain sides of them due to survival instinct. Like, you know, in certain situations you can't just blurt out, hey, yo, I practice witchcraft, without horrendous repercussions in most cases. That's the same thing with identifying as a vampire. It's not just something you go and blurt out unless you're 100% ready to take on the consequences. That being said, that is what I'm doing. So it's not something that you just, I think I'm going to do this today. So just like being out and open as a witch, there is a lot that comes with it. There's a lot of heckling, there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of people picking and poking at you. I mean, you just have to deal with it and field it as it comes. Pretty much have the thickest skin on earth. And that's with any other identification. If you are anything other than the normal, that is exactly what you're going to get. Is it good? Is it right? Is it fair? Absolutely fucking not. But that's how our society is at current. So, I got asked, let's move on. I got asked about deities. My deity is Hecate. You guys know that. I have not changed. That will never, ever change. I just want to make that 100% clear. I don't feel like I will add anything to her. I've got Santissima, I've got Hecate. I have always had those two. I don't feel like that will ever change for me. Now, other vampires in the community that practice their own path in witchcraft, or whatever path they choose, I cannot speak on it because I don't know. I'm sure with the plethora of deities that are available, they could all vary. They could be totally different. They may not even use one. And just because you're a vampire doesn't necessarily mean you are a witch. And it's not really a religion, it's like a life thing. So the use of altars and deities is probably not present for a good many. I know witches that are in the Fae. I know wolves that are witches. Like, it is an endless thing. But one does not have to have the other. You can be totally separate and standalone. And that is 100% okay. Coven versus court. I, at my particular standpoint in my life currently, do not ever see me in the near future ever being a part of a coven for witches. I will stay with my court of vampires. I will go into more detail because I don't want to shit on someone's coven or belief in covens. I'm not a part of one. I've never been a part of one. I've been invited to a few, but I am not a participant in any. I know several former coven members, various covens, various parts of the globe, that, I'd speak to, and I formed my own opinion very early on about such things. And you would think, well, if you're not going to join that, then why would you join this? Well, my court is fucking awesome, and I have not, outside my friends in the witch community that I communicate with daily, mostly, they're been the best people that have ever happened to me in my life. So, outside my, family, of course. It's a very unique experience, and our court operates very much like a family unit. If someone needs help, we reach out. If you have questions or you're just going through life situations, you just it's there for you, much like a coven for witches would be or should be. So, but I can't speak solely on a coven basis for witches. I've never been a part of one personally. Like I said, that's a whole nother video. But I'm not going to crap on somebody's coven either, because some people absolutely love them, and then is very much the other side. So, and that could go with courts, covens, and houses, and clans in the vampire community. It sometimes doesn't fit you to be in one, and that's okay. So, it's not a requirement necessarily. I love mine, and that's all I can really say. I love the other courts that we interact with and participate with when events are occurring, or if somebody needs something in another court in another state. Like, there's always a helping hand going on. So I very much love my vampire court. I'm sorry, I just do. And I will be speaking on my court more, and it's not my court. I'm just a member, by the way. I want to clear that up. It is not my court. I am a member. So let's see. What all is entailed with being a vampire? Well, a lot if you are in a court, and a lot really if you're not, because it's a daily struggle sometimes to understand what's going on, some of the issues that you're dealing with on a physical level and an emotional level. It can be a struggle, because I found that some of the things that I was dealing with and having issues with and had no understanding of, a lot of my questions got answered once I did start talking in my court and speaking, and got introduced to this court. I had no clue they were out there, to be honest with you, and that brings me to the next subject after this, is, when you're struggling with something and you know it's not normal, it's not part of the norm, it's very hard to find a source of information to help you and guide you, right? Just like being a witch. I didn't know there was a witch community until I got so fed up one day at why this was going on. Why was I feeling this way? Why did I feel the need to be a certain way and I didn't fit in? And I just couldn't figure out what was going on in my brain and my heart and my body. A lot of that got answered when I started doing research. Same thing with vampire community. And some of the struggles I was going through, coming into acknowledging what was going on inside me, didn't fit in the witch part of me, which led me to continue my search. As a kid, being fascinated with something doesn't mean that you are that something. But if that constant fascination is just a daily nudge, like there's something going on, my eyes are getting dry. That pull, that inner desire to need more on a physical level, more on an emotional level, and more on an interactive level of people that are more like you, other yous in the world that are going through the same struggles and the same things. That helps a lot when you find a group of people that identify and deal with the same things as you. Much like finding the witch community for witches coming into their own and awakening into, I don't fit here, but I very much fit here, and coming into that knowledge, and then having gone through the research and just all hours of the night and day, constantly, like, there's got to be something, plugging in 1.5 million different things into damn Google, finally led me to a place where I was like, oh, okay, this makes total sense, which then led me to a chat room, or not really, they're not called chat rooms on Facebook, but led me to a Facebook Live event that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I miss. But, people's lives get hectic. Just like I can't pop out a video every other day. Like, people's lives get hectic. You gotta step back. I feel like I just... but the information's out there, and I will do my best to get what I can to you. It's not always going to be in a timely manner. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. Our busy season is here, being a witch and, part of a vampire association and court. This is just like Faye Wolf. Everybody's busy right now. Like, everybody's busy right now. So I will do my best to get your questions answered with the utmost available knowledge that I have. Speaking about knowledge, let's go back to that. So, like I said, I was trolling Google, trying to figure the fuck out what the hell's going on in me. Because, if anything knows, it's Google. Google led me to YouTube, and YouTube led me to Facebook. When I say YouTube, there is a show, it's still on there. It's also available on Amazon Prime, by the way. And it's called Vampires. And I think when I was typing in, one of the things I typed in my Google search, because of course, if there were going to be vampires in the world, they're going to be in New Orleans, right? So it was like New Orleans, Paris, England, Ireland, Scotland. I was looking up everything. There's got to be somebody out there. So I popped into a YouTube video from New Orleans, and there were vampires of New Orleans. The show is not called Vampires of New Orleans, I don't think. I think it's just Vampires. But it's also on Amazon Prime. They're little, you can't miss it. It's, I think, 10 or 12 episodes, and they're only 8 to 12 minutes long. They're just little snippety clippets. So, those people are real people. They, they're amazing people, and they are real. So, that led me to further my knowledge even more. Like I said, I went to Facebook. And it's Facebook, so some of the stuff you're going to come across is kind of crazy, but just like YouTube, you're going to come across some crazy stuff if you dig hard enough, which is unfortunate, but whatever, there's some truth mixed in with a lot of the non. So that is a good place. There's also literature available now that was not available when I was going through this crap the first time in my very young youth, like 12, 13. So, which is unfortunate because that would have been great. But like I mentioned before, and I always pronounce her name wrong. Because if I overthink it, it's going to come out wrong. I think I've heard it pronounced both ways. Michelle Bellinger, and I think it's spelled Bellinger, but it's Bellinger. And I'll put that link to her channel in here because, like I said, she talks about a lot of stuff. Very into the paranormal, like that's her thing, and a huge elder in the. I think she's an elder in the vampire community. I think. If she's not an elder, you'll figure that out because it'll be in the research. But she is a huge part of the vampire community. And just like in the witch community, there's a lot of negative connotation that comes with it. I'm going to do my best to change that. My court is doing its best to change that. We do a lot of charity work. We do a lot of intercourt, stuff for each other. We do a lot of outreach work to help the community. So just like the witch community, there's a ton of outreach. There's a ton of community networks. There's a ton of charity events that the Witch Ball puts on, the Witch's Ball, that Nina Soul does. She does charity stuff. There are charities all over the place. Vampire and witch both have to go through the same amount of crap in the normie's eyes and the mundane world's eyes, So I'm hoping to kind of bridge that gap a little bit between the species. So that is my goal. And I say species because, yeah, we're human, but I also have the firm belief that, yeah, we're a little bit extra. So that is my words to you today on this particular subject. And any links I come across, I will put in the description. I will just edit into the description of this video. I linked my court information. I'm sorry, I like to do that when I'm talking. I linked the court page information and the court Instagram information in the last video. So if you didn't see that, please go back and look. There's a lot of information there. And I guess that's it. I will be on here later with Mystical Cactus. If you haven't subscribed to her channel, please go do that. We might have a special guest star. Not going to name any names because, it'd be my luck. I'd say it and then something happened. So I'm just going to leave it at where it is. I think somebody just knocked on my damn door. Anyway, y'all have a good day or evening or afternoon, whenever you see this. And I will talk at y'all later. Bye.